dodging a debate makes him look like the coward that he is. And she challenged him to another one immediately. He wants no part of it. Nice, even for a few seconds, to be rattled by something other than the election this morning.
Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth.
Melania claims that this is not a new position.
Ever notice how Trump judges people not by their qualifications, but by their loyalty? Jimmy Kimmel just connected the dots between those ridiculous Fox News praise fests and how Trump actually picks people for government jobs. When butt kissing becomes the main job requirement for running the country, we're all screwed. Kimmel's monologue shows exactly how this loyalty obsession threatens everything from healthcare to democracy itself. Hey, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. We know you want to. Go ahead, we'll wait. Alright, appreciate it. Now, back to the video. Remember when Fox News was supposed to be actual news? Yeah, those days are gone. Jimmy Kimmel ripped into them for turning regular diners across America into weird Trump worship zones. It's like walking into a Denny's and finding yourself in the middle of a cult meeting, but with more pancakes and desperate attempts to please the orange leader. Fox News literally created competitions where everyday folks had to outpraise Trump like they were auditioning for American Idol, Dictator Edition. Kimmel showed clips of these people practically foaming at the mouth to say something nice about Trump.
The voters and voter polls showed it, but the fake news media wasn't giving the credit that was due. Wow. Remember, I wasn't debating one person, I was debating three. They should fire everybody at ABC Fake News. Abortion are actually very progressive. She believes that women should be able to abort their stepchildren. Still trying to convince the MAGAverse that he didn't blow it on Tuesday night against Kamala Harris, even though he is clearly terrified of facing her again. If you won't feel an earthquake if you're wearing Crocs. They act as a shock absorber, and you're totally safe if you wear them. That's true. I learned that from J.D. Vance.
One lady in Iowa was like, he's the greatest president ever. Then some guy jumped in with, no, he's the greatest human ever. Pretty soon they'll be claiming he invented oxygen and sunshine, but Kimmel made a really scary point. This isn't just funny TV, this is actually how Trump picks people for real government jobs that affect our lives. Can you imagine your doctor getting hired not because they know medicine, but because they said Trump has the most beautiful hands they've ever seen? That's basically what's happening with our government. The segment showed regular Americans practically fighting each other to say nicer things about Trump than the person before them. One old lady was ready to throw hands with another senior citizen just because the other one said Trump was only excellent instead of perfect. It's like watching the Hunger Games, but the only weapon is excessive compliments. This goes way beyond normal political support. It's straight up creating a personality cult where questioning the leader becomes forbidden. You know who else had that system? Every dictator ever. Kim Jong-un is watching these Fox segments taking notes like, wow, they're better at this than my people, and nobody's even being threatened with execution. The whole thing looked like North Korean state TV, but with worse lighting and more American flags. At least North Korea has the excuse of being a dictatorship. We're supposed to be a democracy where we can criticize our leaders without fear of punishment. But these Trump fans are acting like he'll appear in their bedroom closet if they don't praise him enough.
But wait, what happened to this guy?
Anytime, anywhere, anyplace.
Somehow he went from anytime, anywhere, any place to there will be no third debate.
I'm standing here, and I do most of it without the telephone. Isn't it nice to have somebody that doesn't need a telephone?
When a prize fighter loses a fight, the first words out of his mouth are, I want a rematch. Polls clearly show that I won the debate against Comrade Kamala Harris. For her, she wrote, I have carried this belief with me throughout my entire adult life.
These praise fests aren't just embarrassing, they're the actual job interviews for people who might run important parts of our government. The Secretary of Defense won't be picked for military knowledge, but for who says Trump's hair looks the most natural. The Surgeon General will be whoever claims Trump has the fitness level of an Olympic athlete despite eating nothing but burgers. When butt kissing becomes the main qualification for running America, we're all in serious trouble. Imagine the most kiss-ass person at your workplace getting promoted to CEO just because they complimented the boss's ugly tie. Now apply that to running nuclear weapons. The Republican Party is turning into a Trump fan club instead of a political party. These Fox segments prove Republicans now value blind loyalty over actual skills or qualifications. It used to be the party of Reagan and Lincoln. Now it's the party of whoever can fit Trump's entire foot in their mouth. They should just replace the elephant with a boot print as their logo. The scary part isn't just the praising, it's what comes next when we look at how Trump's inner circle gets formed. It's all about who can show the most devotion, not who can do the job best. And apparently that devotion now includes bronze statues and loyalty pins, like we're living in some bizarre alternate version of America where democracy is optional and praise is mandatory. You know things are getting weird when Republicans start making giant bronze statues of Trump like he's some ancient emperor. Kimmel couldn't believe his eyes when he saw photos of this 7-foot metal Trump being unveiled. It's like they forgot we're supposed to be a democracy, not some country where people bow to golden idols of their leader. Kimmel pointed out something really strange happening at Republican events lately. Everyone's wearing these Trump face pins, not American flag pins like politicians used to wear, but actual pins with Trump's face on them, as if patriotism now means loyalty to one man instead of the country. These pins aren't just fashion statements. They're like those friendship bracelets kids wear, except it's grown adults showing off who loves Trump the most. Not wearing a Trump pin as a Republican is basically like wearing a shirt that says, "I secretly voted for Biden." Kimmel joked, it's a loyalty test that determines who gets power in Trump's world. The bigger your Trump pin, the better your chances of getting a job in his administration. Got a pin the size of a dinner plate? Congratulations, you might be the next Secretary of Defense, even if you can't find Ukraine on a map. Kimmel couldn't stop laughing about the bronze Trump statue. Who commissions a giant metal version of themselves besides dictators and comic book villains? The statue unveiling looked like some weird religious ceremony with people standing around admiring it like it was a sacred object. Kimmel said it reminded him of those countries where they put up huge portraits of their leader in every building. Next thing you know, they'll be putting Trump's face on Mount Rushmore, right after they add a golden escalator to it. The Republican Party used to talk about small government, low taxes, and conservative values. Now it's just a competition to see who can show the most devotion to Trump. What happened to those guys who used to say, "Don't worship politicians" and question authority? Those same people now wear Trump socks, Trump hats, Trump shirts, and probably Trump underwear. They've gone from "don't tread on me" to "please step on me, Mr. Trump." Remember when Republicans freaked out about Obama supporters being too enthusiastic? They called it a cult of personality. Now they're building a cult of personality bigger than Trump's ego. And that's saying something. It's like they took all their complaints about Obama and said, let's do exactly that, but 10 times worse. Kimmel connected all these weird loyalty symbols to something much more serious. When your political party starts caring more about devotion to one person than actual qualifications for government jobs, democracy itself is in danger. A healthy democracy needs people who will speak truth to power, not compete to see who can kiss the most orange butt. The massive bronze statue controversy Kimmel mocked shows exactly how the Republican Party is changing into something that doesn't look like a normal political party anymore. It's transforming into a personality cult where questioning the leader becomes forbidden. That's not how America is supposed to work. We're meant to judge our leaders by their actions, not worship them like gods. This obsession with Trump statues and pins would be funny if it wasn't so dangerous. When people start replacing symbols of the country with symbols of one man, that's when alarm bells should ring. As Kimmel said, this level of devotion goes far beyond normal political support. It's the kind of blind loyalty you see in countries where voting is just for show and criticism gets you in trouble. It's not every day you see a comedian cry on TV, but that's exactly what happened when Trump's antics finally pushed Kimmel over the edge. Most nights, Jimmy sticks to jokes about Trump's hair or his weird obsession with toilets. This time was different. You could tell something had seriously bothered him. During his monologue, Kimmel got real serious real quick. The jokes stopped and his face changed. Everyone in the audience noticed it too. The usual laughs turned into silence as Kimmel spoke about what's actually at stake in America right now. It wasn't about ratings or getting clicks anymore. This was a guy genuinely worried about his country. His voice started shaking when he listed all the people who'd suffer under another Trump term. Women who need healthcare, immigrants who came here for a better life, journalists just trying to report facts, children who deserve leaders who care about their future. By the time he finished that list, you could see tears forming in his eyes. Not fake TV tears either, the real kind that come when someone's actually upset. Kimmel said something that really hit home. Democracy isn't just about voting, it's about having leaders who can be questioned without throwing tantrums. It's about being able to criticize people in power without being called an enemy of the state. That last part made his voice crack again. He wasn't reading from cue cards anymore. This was straight from the heart. The weird thing is, Kimmel even felt bad for Trump supporters. He said they'd eventually feel the effects of Trump's policies too. When healthcare gets worse for everyone, when the economy tanks because of bad decisions, when rights get taken away, everyone suffers, even people who voted for him. He wasn't mocking Trump voters. He actually seemed worried about them. Then Kimmel connected all the dots. The loyalty pins, the bronze statues, the praise competitions on Fox News. It all adds up to something dangerous. This isn't normal politics anymore, he said. When we put blind faith in one person, when we start treating a politician like they're perfect and can't be criticized, that's how democracies die. Heavy stuff for a show that usually jokes about celebrity wardrobe malfunctions. His tears weren't part of some act. The guy was genuinely upset about what's happening to American democracy. He's been doing this job for years, making fun of politicians from both parties. But this was different. You could see real fear in his eyes when he talked about institutions being undermined. This wasn't about ratings or going viral. Kimmel was legit scared about America's future. The monologue shifted from jokes to something more like a plea. Please, just look at what's happening, he said. This isn't about left versus right anymore. It's about whether we want a democracy or something else entirely. When he said something else entirely, you could see tears running down his face. A late-night host crying on TV about democracy isn't something you see every day. So why did Kimmel tear up during his Trump monologue? Because he sees what's actually happening. Democratic principles being replaced by blind devotion to one man. He sees the real-world consequences beyond the jokes and the tweets. His emotions showed just how high the stakes really are. This isn't just comedy anymore. It's about whether American democracy survives or not. The most powerful moment came when Kimmel looked directly at the camera, tears still in his eyes, and said, "I never thought I'd be crying on TV about politics, but this isn't politics anymore. This is something much more important." That's when you knew this was real, not scripted, not rehearsed, just a guy worried about his country and not afraid to show it. While Trump demands total loyalty from everyone else with those pins and statues, his own wife can't even stand being in the same building with him. Kimmel really went in on this hypocrisy, showing how the guy who makes everyone else kiss his butt can't even keep his own wife interested in living with him. Kimmel highlighted some juicy comments from Anthony Scaramucci, Trump's former aide, who lasted about 5 minutes in the White House. The mooch claimed Melania hates Donald more than almost anyone else on the planet. According to Scaramucci, "I judge the hatred of Donald Trump by the Melania standard. That's gotta hurt. Imagine being so unlikable that your own wife becomes the measuring stick for how much people hate you." Despite all those fake smiles in public photos, Kimmel pointed out that behind closed doors, the Trump family looks more dysfunctional than the Osbournes after a 3-day bender. The mooch dropped another bomb too, saying, "I've met one person that actually hates Trump more than Melania. That's General Milley. When your wife and your former top military advisor are competing for who dislikes you more, that's not exactly a great sign for your people skills." But here's the really wild part that made Kimmel lose it. Scaramucci claimed Melania might secretly want Kamala Harris to win more than anyone, just so she doesn't have to move back to the White House. Apparently, the thought of having to pretend to like Donald for 4 more years in Washington is worse than any campaign loss could ever be. Kimmel couldn't stop laughing when he shared reports that Melania has already negotiated a deal with Trump that she won't live full-time in the White House if he wins again. She's basically saying, "I'll do the absolute minimum required to not completely embarrass you, but don't expect me to actually live with you." An insider told Page 6 that she does not want a non-stop schedule of events in the White House, which is just a fancy way of saying, "I'd rather be anywhere else than near that man." Remember how she stayed in New York for 5 months after his first election? Trump and his team claimed it was because she wanted Barron to finish his school year, but Kimmel wasn't buying it. "Yeah, because New York schools are so much better than Washington schools," he joked. It definitely wasn't because she was avoiding Trump like he was a door-to-door salesman. The contrast between Trump demanding absolute loyalty from everyone else while his own wife can't stand him is both hilarious and super revealing. The guy needs everyone else to wear pins with his face and build statues of him, but the one person who actually married him is like, "I'm good over here in New York, thanks." Kimmel connected all this to Trump's Father's Day message that included greetings to the radical left, rhinos, and other losers of the world. When Kimmel saw that message, he just shook his head and said, "Oh, poor Eric." The audience lost it because everyone knows Eric is always desperately trying to get his dad's approval. Kimmel added, "His heart's not even in these anymore," suggesting Trump can't even pretend to care about his own family. The ultimate irony that Kimmel pointed out, the man who's obsessed with loyalty tests, who makes his followers wear pins and praise him in diners and build bronze statues of him, can't even keep his own wife loyal enough to live under the same roof. Maybe instead of building statues, Trump should focus on being less of a terrible husband. But who are we kidding? It's way easier to surround yourself with yes men than to actually be someone worth living with. What Kimmel did wasn't just funny, it showed how Trump's weird obsession with loyalty is actually dangerous. The Republican Party doesn't care if you're smart or good at your job anymore. They just want to know how much you love Trump. It's like a job interview where the only question is, how amazing do you think the boss's hair looks today? When a political party turns into a fan club for one dude, everyone loses. Even the Trump lovers don't realize they're just being used. They're building statues of a guy who wouldn't even stop to help them if they fell down in front of him.